Okay, so thank you all again for popping in. I hope this is going to be really helpful to you. And as I said, I'm recording this for those students who couldn't be here today. So at the last orientation, I hope you all had a chance to watch that. At the last orientation, we talked a little bit about what to submit in terms of the worksheet. Can everybody hear me okay? Good? Okay.
Yes.
What everybody should submit, and then I answered questions about the first semester or whatever. What I want to go over today, and I'm sorry, it'll be me sort of rattling on for a while, but if you want to say something, just stop me, okay? You want to ask something, just stop me, and I'll try to remember to stop, to breathe, and give you all a chance to ask questions too, periodically. So I want to talk about how to prepare for the workshop booklet. Has everyone received their workshop booklet via email?
Yes.
Okay, and you all know that from now on, for all intents and purposes, we will not be contacting you through any other email but your spalding.edu email. So you need to check that regularly, and if you want to, you can pour it into your Gmail or your Yahoo or whatever. There are instructions about how to do that. We try to get the university not to put we're not on the same track with the rest of the university, so you'll get some messages from the university. Apparently you'll get my messages about the grad dean committee, but the grad dean being chosen, but anyway, not all of it will junk up your box. So that's really important. We just expect that that's going to happen, that you're going to be checking in at least once a week throughout the semester. So know that that's one of our expectations for you. So you've already gotten your workshop booklet, and I want to talk a little bit about the workshop booklet cover. Let's see if I can go in now. Hang on just a second. Okay, so can everybody see that now? The workshop booklet cover that I have up? Okay, so you all, should look really familiar to you. I just want to go through some of the pieces of it so you know what you're looking for, okay? So this is obviously the poetry workshop, and everyone will have a different workshop, you know, depending on what genre you're in and what leader. So you up here, you found out who your leader was for the first time for your workshop. So I'm sure that that's very interesting to you. And then the rest of these folks here are the folks that are the student participants, your workshop peers. They're in workshop with you. Now your name, there's Mervin's name right there. There's Jasmine's name in the middle. So your name is in the middle because you're new students. So on either side, we try to put the more experienced students so that you have a couple of days, a few sessions in workshop before you're asked to have your worksheet up so you can kind of get the lay of the land. You're brand new after all. Okay, and so this will also be the order in which the work is presented, obviously. So on the first day of the poetry workshop, Doc is going to be the first critic for Lauren, and then Lauren will be the first critic for Connor. And then as we go through, Heidi will be the first critic for Jasmine Lomax. And then Jasmine, you're going to be the first critic for Mervin. So it's good that, Mervin, you can't see Jasmine right now, but it's good that you are getting to know each other a little bit here. So in terms of being first critic, what that means is you take the lead off on the discussion in workshop. And it's usually, right here it says on the workshop cover, it's usually about 3 or 4 minutes. You want to talk about what's best in the work, what spoke to you in the work, what you admire in the work, but you also want to talk about those things that popped out at you, that if they were improved, they would bring the whole quality of the piece up in your mind. And you don't have to fashion those comments completely before you come, because you won't be on the first day of workshop going over anyone else's work. On the first day of workshop, it's an hour and a half instead of 2 hours, and you will be learning about the protocol of the workshop, the Spalding etiquette of workshop, the way that we operate, the the workshop leader, for instance, Maureen here, will be going over some front matter that will be in the workshop too. You probably saw that there was a published piece or two in the front of your workshop booklet, and that's what's going to be discussed on that first day. It's a way of kind of coming into workshop on a neutral stance, okay? And then day 2 of workshop, when you come back, someone will be workshopped in the first hour, and then there'll be a little bit of a break, and someone will be workshopped in the second hour, and it'll go that way until we go through all the students. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of a break because there will be a workshop that has like a ragged number of students, so maybe it has 6 instead of 8, and so the workshop leader will have some sort of lesson for you on the day.
Okay, that sounds brilliant.
And so that's...
Hey, thanks. First of all, thank you very much.
And
I'm...
Jasmine,
like
is that
I'm in a
you?
much better place. Oh my God, I don't feel like
That's not me.
being stabbed.
Okay. Andy, is that you? Okay.
So, awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
so...
Hey, thanks a million. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Hey, Andy, is that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Were you just on the phone?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. Can you just mute it if something happens again and you have to get on the phone again?
Sorry about that. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to tell you that it's being recorded, and I don't know who you're talking to.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Sorry.
So anyway, you may have some extra lessons, but the workshop leader will spill that all out for you. They'll say, like, okay, on Thursday, instead of going over Callie's work in the first hour, I'm going to present a lesson, and we'll go over Callie's work in the second hour, or something like that. So that first day, all those things will be explained to you. Your questions will be answered. One thing I can tell you is that it's really helpful if you think about workshops starting about 5 minutes before it says so on the schedule, so you could be in the seat and ready to go, because you only get an hour apiece to be workshopped while you're here, and you want to make the most of it. And it's not great etiquette for people to be coming in late or whatever and interrupting the workshop there. So just let you know that that's kind of frowned upon. To prepare for the workshop, guys, we recommend that you go over it 3 times. If you're starting to look at it, my advice to you is to read it quickly from front to back, as you would any other piece of literature that you're looking at as a layperson, a reader. And then set it down, and then come back and read it really carefully, one piece at a time as you go through, or one clutch of poems at a time you go through, okay? And so you want to go ahead and make margin comments on the side, like if you see proofreading errors or grammatical errors or things like that. We don't generally spend a lot of time in workshop talking about grammatical errors, but it's nice for the writer to have that marked for him or her. So that's a nice courtesy, and you would appreciate that as well. The other thing that you want to do is kind of make check marks or make notes on the pieces in the areas that you think are really effective, that are really coming up off the page to speak to you as a writer, as a reader, and point those out as well. And then at the end, you want to write about some over comments, and those will be about a paragraph. You can write them in pen if you want to. You can put them on a separate piece of paper if you're going to word process them, whatever. But they need to go back to the writer right at the end of the workshop period that day, okay? It's really bad form to say, oh, my notes are messy, let me get that to you later, okay? What that generally says, telegraphs to a writer, is that you're not prepared. You weren't prepared for workshop or to make comment. And sometimes, unfortunately, a student will just never come through with the comments. And so my golden rule is treat writers and others writing the way you want yours to be treated, okay? So it's really important to get that feedback from everybody and to get it back at the end of the critique session too. Okay, that's just an expectation that we have. So do you all have questions about any of that?
Not at the moment.
No?
This is Mervin.
Uh-huh.
Is there certain key things besides your regular grammar, proofreading, that we should be looking for? So for me, it would be poetry.
Yeah.
is there certain key things that I'd be identifying either in the comments or summary, being that this is my first time doing this, that somebody more experienced there looking for certain kind of things?
Well, what you're looking for are the things that work and for the things that don't work, basically. That would be my suggestion to you. Right now, part of your job in workshop is not only to lend comments to someone else, but to really enter into the conversation of your genre, the literary language of your genre.
Okay.
So if it were me, Mervyn, and I was just starting out, I might think about things. I might even go to a poetry handbook or something and look at language. But I might consider things like point of view, imagery, the way the lines work in poetry.
Okay.
I would consider rhythm, the sound of language, the figurative
Okay.
use, the metaphor, whatever. Okay.
Right.
Just sort of those basic things, and then you'll add more vocabulary. But this is true for all of you in your respective genres. So let me say one more thing, and then Mervyn, I'm going to sort of switch gears a little bit, okay? And I think this will be helpful to you too, all right?
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, for me, because I already started looking over, I've already done my basic read, so it's just some things have kind of called out to me. I do have some experience in areas and have a lot of books that help support me looking at those other things also. So it's kind of helped out. But I'm just trying to tune in to what Spalding does, what kind of stuff that lets me be in tune with the direction of Spalding in doing this.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of basic things. I think you're probably in a good place in the way that you're approaching the language and the terminology of it.
Right.
The main thing is that there's no Spalding way to write.
Okay.
So we're not interested in people coming out with an aesthetic that's identical to their peers here at Spalding. Right. So people say, oh, well, that's a Spalding writer for sure because they do this kind of American realism in their short stories or whatever. I mean, that's fine, but it's not really what we're after. Okay. The other thing is we always treat the writing and not the writer. So that's pretty basic too, what you want to remember as well. And that'll make it easier for your critiques, for you to accept your critiques as well. Okay. This part here that's in the yellow on the worksheet, some of you, it may look different for some of you. And if your workshop leader does not want you to work electronically during the workshop, then that will be stated clearly on your workshop booklet. So you need to look for that. And what that means is you have to print out a paper copy of your workshop booklet. It's just like any other university. You have professors who care about this and professors who don't care about it. Okay. The screenwriters, for some reason, they seem to always be behind their computers, their laptops during workshop. The poets, generally, the poetry workshop leaders don't like it. They don't want that sort of barrier between the writer and the piece. And so anyway, that's what that yellow section is. And so if yours looks different, that's why that looks different. Okay, so you're going to, after you go back and you look at it very, very carefully in that second reading, treating one writer's work at a time, then that third time that you're going to read it is probably the night before or the morning before. Generally, workshops are in the afternoon, starting around 2. And so you may want to take your stuff with you and look it over for lunch just to refresh, because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming at you during residency. Your brain is going to be worn out. You're just going to be able to focus on one thing and then turn to the next thing and then the next thing. So you all, about the third day of residency, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, oh, I don't know whether they're going to make it or not. And then for some reason, after that third day, you kind of get your second wind, and then you fly through it. And you're like, how did this is over already. It's already Saturday night. I can't believe it. So I found that to be true so many times, folks. So now I want to go in. Any other questions? You guys just chime in. So now I want to talk to you about a little assignment you have.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Unrelated question. Where do you I've been looking all over for the schedule for like each day and what's happening at residency. Is it
Yeah.
not uploaded yet, or am I
Nope.
just?
It's not up yet. It will never be up until the Monday before residency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, the lecture descriptions are there for you. If you go into
Right.
in here, the syllabi is up for you. You guys should pull down your syllabi and look over it for English 612, which is the first residency course, and then also English 16 for the independent study course, and look over those and understand, so you kind of get some of the language, and you'll keep referring back to your syllabus all throughout, especially your second course of the semester. And then Jasmine, also, when the residency schedule goes up on that Monday, I put up a document checklist, and that document checklist has, you can just go down through it, and it tells you every piece of paper or textbook that you need to bring to residency, so you don't have to worry that you're forgetting something too. There's also like a suggested packing list or something that Karen and Katie put together that tells you things you might want to bring. People are always wondering, should they bring their laptops? I say yes, or a tablet, whatever you work on. Some people even bring portable printers. That's not necessary. We have plenty of printing capacity here at the university. It becomes a problem if you want to print at 2 o'clock in the morning. Then that becomes a problem. If that's your bent, then you might want to bring a portable printer, but most people don't. So I'm going to go under, you all are familiar with the portal page, and I'm going to go under up here at new student information. Okay, and I want you all to pay attention to this place right here, which is your critical writing assignment. And I'm going to spend an hour with you during residency at a critical writing talk, and just kind of give you an overview of the kind of writing you'll be doing in the first and second semester in those short critical essays. And so I want you to just click on here, and you'll probably want to print it out. But this is an essay called Black Men in Public Space. It's a fantastic piece of writing here, and you can get it online. If this link doesn't work, just Google this, because it's all over the net. You can find it. Just print it out, read it, reread it, mark passages that interest you. Instructions here. Look back at what you've marked, and then do your best to try to identify that literary language or what it's an example of.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
What I'm seeing on screen, I think, is just a draft of the residency schedule, a Word document. Is that what we're supposed to be seeing?
Nope.
I agree. Same.
Okay.
We're just gonna pretend that was just me.
So did you guys
Same.
see the workshop booklet cover?
I think I've got a print copy of mine.
But did you? Okay.
We did, but when you mentioned, like, you said, oh, your name's in the middle, and I'm like, not on that one. That one's about screenwriting. So.
Oh no, I'm sorry, guy. I'm trying to be real fancy here. So did you see my open table reservations for tonight? Okay. You can meet me up there if you want to later. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can start this again. Okay. What are you seeing now? Are you still seeing the same thing?
I see the workshop cover.
Okay.
Because it looks like mine.
Yeah, Marvin, this is what I was looking at before. And I was going,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and you all were being so good. You were being so good. You were like, oh, I'm not telling her that I don't see what she's seeing. Okay. So when I was talking about that section about the workshop booklets, it's down here. It's what's in yellow here. So that may be different on yours. Okay. All right, guys. All right. You seeing anything now?
Yep, the pre-assignment.
Thank you. I don't know how I did that either, so I don't know how I would mitigate my mistake again, so I'm not sure what happened. Okay, so is everybody seeing this now, the thing that I intended for you to see in the beginning? Okay. All right. So this is under new students, all right, and this is how you access the essay. I'm not going to go through because I'm afraid I'll lose it again here. I want you to read it. I want you to mark passages that are meaningful to you. And then I want you to try to identify what's happening in that passage, all right? So what you're trying to identify, and this is what I thought might be helpful to you all as you go through your workshop booklets. This is just the second sheet of that assignment page that you'll print out, but it's full of literary language and literary elements. So one of the things we'll talk about, literary elements are essentially those things that occur in all pieces of literature, okay? So it would be something like a plot or characters. You can't have a piece of literature without characters. So, and that's in any genre. It could be that the character is a dog that has human qualities. It could be that the character is a chair or a triangle, but you still have to have characters, okay? And so that's a literary element. You have to have setting. That's a literary element. No matter if you're in a poem, if you're in a children's book, if you're in a screenplay, you have to have setting, right? So the literary element is achieved through literary technique. And that's really what you guys are here to learn how to do, right? To deploy that literary technique to the best of your ability, to the best of your talent. So those literary techniques are the way that you achieve the best literary elements in your text. So what I want you to do is to look at these two pieces of paper and sort of go back and forth and consider what literary techniques are bringing about that literary element that you are admiring so much, okay? And it's not going to be a formal discussion. You don't need to write anything formally to me. You just need to be pretty familiar with the Brent Staples essay, which is fairly short, but in my mind, a masterpiece. It's a perfect essay. I've read it probably 50 times, and I find something new in it every time, which is the mark of literature in my mind, is that you're called back into it, to reread it and to make new discoveries. So it's a fantastic piece of writing. I hope you enjoy reading it, and I hope you enjoy thinking about it. I think you'll have lots to think about. For instance, in the essay, it's a creative nonfiction essay, and one of the things that puts the creative in nonfiction is that you're using fictive or poetic elements or technique to tell your true story. And so you'll see that. You'll be able to identify those things. So if you're reading the essay and you're like, oh gosh, I don't understand, I can't find anything here, what you need to do is really think, now, wait a minute. Here's a piece of creative nonfiction, and how is it working like a piece of fiction? Well, it has characters, it has setting. Okay, how is it working like a piece of poetry? Well, it has alliteration, it has metaphor. How is it working figuratively? It has irony. When we think about what's figurative, which is also the hallmark of a piece of literature, it's when something more is being suggested than what's literally on the page, like in a metaphor or a symbol, okay? So if one of the ways that we might, I'm looking at the second column here, okay? One of the ways that we might talk about characterization, that literary element that I was telling you, every piece of literature has to have characters in it. Well, one of the techniques to making good characters might be developing a protagonist, developing the antagonist, dialogue, creating foils against each other, personification, or using the apostrophe, which is a poetic technique, but it's also used in other forms of literature. Using the apostrophe is when you address someone who's obviously not there. It'll be like me addressing Thomas Jefferson in a poem, okay? That's called the apostrophe. So what makes round characters, flat characters, allegorical characters, and guys, there's a ton more than what's here when you talk about characters, but that's just a start. And so you can come up with your own stuff too. Right? So these two sheets and that essay you need to be familiar with, and then bring them into, and your notes, and bring them into that 1 hour session with me, and bring your questions too about what kind of short critical writing you're going to be doing. Right? So what questions do you have now for me?
No, then I don't have anything.
Okay.
Maybe.
Where's the, I'm sorry, it's Andy here. Where is the sheet located again?
It's under new students on the front. If you go to the front page of the portal, it's on the left-hand
Okay.
side up high.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I really hope that the essay is meaningful to you all. So
It's a good essay.
yeah, it's a really good essay.
Yeah.
So questions about this, questions about the workshop booklet, what other questions? Anything? I can answer anything you want right now. Okay. So let me just talk to you a little bit about what's going to happen with your mentoring situation. And then I'll let you go, answer questions, and I'll let you go. So you all have already submitted your mentor preference forms. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. So your mentors, we're going to select your mentors. And so on the first Saturday of residency, you will see outside the lectorium door a list of who you've been assigned to, okay, the pairings of the mentor and the mentees. And then you'll go to an individual conference with that person. They'll get a hold of you, okay? They'll email you or they'll talk to you in the hallway, and then you'll set up a time to have a conversation with that person. And so what you need for that conversation is the introducing yourself to the mentor form that you can find on the portal, and you need to go ahead and fill that out. You can start thinking about what you want to put on your reading list. You'll get lots of help. I talked about this in the last orientation video, that you'll get lots of help coming up with titles, but there may be things that you really want to be thinking about what you want to read in the next semester. Okay? And once you meet with your mentor, then you're going to firm up your independent study plan, and that's on another form. And then once you do that, you find another time to show it to your mentor, and the mentor signs off on it, and then it goes into the office. Okay, so all of these things will be laid out for you in the residency schedule, like where you put it, where you go, who you talk to, where you leave it, the form or whatever. So don't worry about that, but I just want you to have a general understanding of what's going to happen on that first day. Okay, so that's the first meeting. Now, if your mentor's not here, then you'll be having a Zoom conference with your mentor or something like this to get squared away for the independent study. Okay. Okay. So, does anybody else have any other questions? No. Okay. Right. Well, you all can email me or call me. It's going to go fast. Really, really fast now. So you'll be here before you know it. But if you have any questions about anything, you know, I'm trying to think. I think I was telling somebody that this is like our 30th residency. It has to be more than that, though, with summer. Maybe I was saying it was like our 40th residency. So we have some things firmly in hand. We have a process in hand. So you don't have to worry about that. Doesn't mean that new things don't pop up, but you know, anything you need, just let us know, okay? And call Kathleen or Katie or Karen or Jason. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Okay, well, if that's it, last chance to ask questions.
One last question.
Okay.
For the reading list,
Uh-huh.
is there a certain direction that is it the mentors that will really take you in the direction of the reading list? How would I know what that reading list that based on what's going to take me on the correct path beforehand?
Well, some of it, some of the things you want to think about on your own, which would be like, what are my gaps, right? Like I think I was saying in the last orientation that, you know, I got all the way through graduate school in poetry and really hadn't studied the romantics very much, right? Because I was so into the moderns. So it might be something like that, where you feel like you really are missing some of the root work of your genre there. So that's a possibility. The other is you might want to think about who you enjoy reading, you know, what you enjoy reading about, and sort of do some Google searches on some new titles. And that way you might want to look at some important books that have been noted recently. Like you might want to look at the Pulitzers or the National Book Awards in the last 10 years, even 20 years, and see if there's some titles there if you're kind of stuck a little bit. The other thing is, Mervyn, is that when you get into your workshop, there are people who are going to be saying to you, oh, your work reminds me of this, or you're going to be talking about, or someone else is going to be talking about something, and they'll say, oh, you know what, I just read this book that my mentor suggested, and I bet it would be really helpful for you. So there could be those kinds of suggestions. So it's kind of a fluid list. And then when you have those ways, right, of thinking about what you want to read. So you're going to be thinking a little bit beforehand. You're going to be paying attention in workshop, right? And then also when you have your conference with your mentor will have suggestions based on the projects that you're thinking about working on.
Right.
So, and it may be that some of you are thinking, well, I have this novel and I'm going to continue working on this novel. It could be that some of you are thinking, I really wish I had stronger characters. And so that's what I want to work on. I don't want to work on a project necessarily. I want to work on an element, really shaping up and learning some skills about how to deploy characters or something like that. So there are a lot of different ways, but your mentor will help you. So, and it could be that when you hand in your independent study form, you have 7 titles and you say, we're going to play it kind of loose and we'll add 3 titles later on. Okay. But the main thing is that you have 8 to 10 books read and commented on through short critical essays by the end of the semester. Okay. Okay.
So is it helpful to just go in with, like, I don't know, an idea of a list of like a few books and then maybe like also some authors that you like and maybe they can help build on that suggestion?
Yep. I think that's probably a good way to do it. Probably.
And
Okay,
they don't,
because I've been trying to think about this book list and I'm like, I
Right.
have like some idea, but like I can't think of like a full list off the top of my head.
Right. Of course you can't. Right. And it's kind of the thing that flummoxes new students too, because you feel like you know, I keep trying to tell everyone it doesn't have to be fully formed before you come, but you do want to think about what you'd like to read, at least in part. You know, if for nothing else, to say, hey, I was thinking about this book, and your mentor might say, yeah, that's a good book, but you know, I read this and it's kind of like that, only it's a lot better. So it might be something like that too.
There's also no shame in taking off that recommended reading list either, right?
Right. That's right. You want to, when you take things off your list, though, you want to have a conversation with your mentor about it, and that can happen in the cover letter that goes to the mentor. You know.
Or, yeah.
We'll say that students who don't make the most of that cover letter in their packet really aren't doing themselves any favor. So you know, it doesn't have to be 8 pages long. But when you construct a packet, you want to talk about what you're including and why you've included it and what your struggles were and what you think is working well, and that you've been reading this and it made you think of this, and you've been reading that and it made you think you don't want to read anymore from that one person, even though you have 3 more titles on your book list. So those are places where conversations can take place with your mentor. So you definitely want to really work on that cover letter. It's not just, hi, how you doing? Here's packet 3. You know. Anything else? Okay. Well, when
No,
you
that's all. Yeah. I was saying that's all I got. I'm just writing notes. Sorry.
Okay, so when you guys come on Friday, on the 10th, check into the hotel. You can come on down here. Well, I shouldn't say that. You should check your schedule because sometimes we do the welcoming at the Brown. Sometimes we do it on campus as well. So, but we'll take you on a tour of campus that'll be pretty quick and show you the main buildings. It's a sweet little campus in the middle of Louisville. It's not overly huge, so you can get to one thing and another. It's not really spread out. It's close to the hotel. It takes about 5 minutes to walk back and forth. In terms of clothes, I don't know, if you're not from Louisville, you probably don't know that it could be 90 degrees or it could be 10 below zero. So we've actually had it be very hot here, and then we've actually had to move all our classes down to the Brown because it was so cold it was sucking the life out of us to actually walk back and forth to campus. So you just never know. Wear comfortable shoes. People generally don't dress up. There might be there are one or two dressier dinners that we'll have at the Brown if you want to dress up a little bit. There are plenty of places to eat all around. On the weekend, things are kind of closed, so lots of us eat at the cafe. It's college food, but our chef is culinary trained, and so it's decent food. It's healthy, so for the most part. So that'll be good. There'll be places for you guys to get coffee free here on campus because that's really important. And everybody just wants to help you. Okay.
Stuff in our account, if we have financial aid and stuff, that drops when we get there, right? So we can just get it direct deposited or whatever.
Yes, it does drop, but I'm not quite sure about the timing of that, Jasmine. So you could drop an email to Karen if you have questions. She'll know. I think it drops that day. But anyway, Karen would be the best person to ask those kinds of questions.
Okay.
Okay. I will do my best to help you however I can. I'm on the programmatic side, the curriculum side, and Karen's on the administrative side. All right?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, we're really looking forward to seeing you all. And drop an email if you need anything or call the office. And otherwise, I'm serious. You'll be here before you know it. It'll seem like tomorrow. So I think we have a really spectacular residency for you. We're going to the theater. We have a really great actors theater here that has a national reputation. You're going to see an exciting play. We have all kinds of great things planned for you. So anyway, okay. So also make sure, this is another thing, make sure that you do the pre-reading for the lectures. Like my plenary lecture, I'm asking everybody to watch The Night of the Hunter. If you don't watch The Night of the Hunter, you won't get much out of my lecture. So I'm asking you to watch that movie. It's 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours. And then there's a short essay by Joanne Beard that is every writing student should know about because it was very important. And then the picture book, Last Stop on Market Street for me. So check on the preparing for residency and make sure you're doing all that. You have time to do all those pre-assignments, that you're allotting your time. It's kind of a test for what's going to happen after you go into your independent study. Okay? Right. Okay. All right, then. It was nice seeing you all again and meeting some of you for the first time. And I will talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, can't wait to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.